Today, we are going to tackle a huge topic in public health, child malnutrition. But instead of just throwing a bunch of big, abstract numbers at you, we're going to zoom all the way in. We'll start with the story of one child, and through that story, we'll understand the clinical reality, the social roots, and of course, the path to recovery for millions.
You know, it is so easy to get lost in the sheer scale of global health issues. But you've got to remember, behind every single statistic, every policy document, there's a person, there's a life. So to really wrap our heads around this massive problem, we have to start small. We have to start with just one child. So first up, a child's story. We're diving right in with a real-life case study to see exactly what malnutrition looks like on the ground. Okay, I want you to picture this. You're in a primary health center. A mother walks in with her 2-year-old son. You can tell right away that he's not doing well. So the first thing you do? You take his measurements. And here's the data. His weight is 7.5 kilograms and his height is 78 centimeters. But look at that last number. That's the one that sets off all the alarm bells. The MUC, that's the mid-upper arm circumference, is only 11 centimeters. It's a super simple measurement, but it's one of the most critical red flags we have for a child's nutritional status. And as the team digs deeper, more pieces of the puzzle start to fall into place. They notice bilateral pedal edema, that's swelling in both of his feet. He's had diarrhea over and over again, and his mother mentions that he just hasn't been eating well. All of these are absolutely crucial clues. So, with everything we know now, what's the call? What's the diagnosis here? Are we looking at marasmus, or is it kwashiorkor, or maybe the broader category, severe acute malnutrition? Let's figure it out. Which brings us to our next section, decoding the diagnosis. To get to the right answer, we first need to understand what these different terms actually mean and how a clinician can tell them apart. All right, first, let's look at the big umbrella diagnosis, severe acute malnutrition, or SAM for short. A kid is diagnosed with SAM if their MUAC is less than 11.5 centimeters, or if they have that bilateral edema we talked about. Now think back to our patient. His MUAC was 11, and he had the swelling, so he ticks both boxes. It's definitely SAM. But we can get even more specific than that. This slide breaks down the two main forms of SAM perfectly. On one side, you have marasmus. Think of this as mainly a calorie problem. The child looks severely wasted. Sometimes it's described as an old man look, but, and this is key, there's no edema. On the other side is kwashiorkor. This is driven by a severe lack of protein, and its classic defining feature is that edema, which can give a child a puffy moon face appearance. And that gives us our answer. Because our little guy has edema, the specific diagnosis is kwashiorkor. And here's the clinical rule of thumb to remember. The second you see any nutritional edema, you automatically classify the case as severe acute malnutrition. It's a non-negotiable sign. Okay, so we have a diagnosis, we have a patient, but treating this one child, well, that's just the beginning. To really understand malnutrition, we have to look deeper. We have to look beneath the surface. This brings us to one of the most powerful ideas in all of public health, the iceberg phenomenon. The idea is simple but profound. What you actually see in the clinic is just a tiny, tiny fraction of the whole problem out in the community. So the tip of that iceberg, the part that's sticking out of the water for everyone to see, those are the severe cases. That's the little boy we just met. These are the children who are so obviously sick with marasmus or kwashiorkor that they finally get brought to a health center. It's what we can see. But here's the thing. Beneath the surface of the water lies the massive, invisible part of the iceberg. And for every severe case you see, there are so many more kids with mild underweight, hidden vitamin deficiencies, weakened immune systems. This is the true scale of the public health crisis, and most of it goes completely unseen. And this really gets to the heart of why that iceberg is so big. Malnutrition isn't just a biological problem, it's a social one. Its roots dig deep into things like poverty, a mother's education level, access to clean water, and even gender bias. These are the powerful currents that keep the crisis going. So given how deep and complex this is, where do we even begin to fix it? Well, the good news is there's a clear, evidence-based plan. Let's talk about the path to recovery. The World Health Organization has this incredible 10-step protocol for managing SAM. And the first 5 steps, which you see here, are all about stabilization. It's like triage. Before you can even think about food, you have to put out the immediate fires. Things like low blood sugar, low body temperature, dehydration, and any underlying infections. Then, once the child is stable,
the focus shifts to rehabilitation. This is where you start correcting those micronutrient deficiencies and begin very cautious feeding before moving on to feeds that will help them gain weight and catch up on their growth. And I want to point out step 9, sensory stimulation. It's a crucial reminder that recovery isn't just physical, it's emotional and developmental too.
But all that treatment is reactive. The real goal is to stop kids from getting sick in the first place. That means focusing on prevention at every single level. It starts with primordial prevention, big picture stuff like fighting poverty and empowering women. Then you have primary prevention, like promoting breastfeeding. Secondary is about catching problems early with things like growth monitoring. And tertiary prevention? Well, that's the rehabilitation we just talked about. And this brings us full circle. Because while all the protocols and systems are vital, we can never, ever lose sight of the human being at the center of it all. This is about more than just one child. This right here is so incredibly important. When you're talking to a mother whose child is sick, the entire conversation has to be built on empathy, no blaming. Use simple words she can understand and always respect her cultural beliefs and practices. Sometimes how you deliver the care is just as important as the medicine itself. And on a bigger scale, this requires a massive, coordinated effort. You see examples of this in national programs like the Integrated Child Development Services, which provides nutrition, or the Poshan Abhiyan mission, which aims to reduce stunting, and even the midday meal scheme in schools. They're all trying to hit this problem from different angles. And really, that's the ultimate takeaway, isn't it? We started with the story of one little boy to understand the details, but the real goal of public health is not just to treat the child who's sitting in front of you. It's to build a system, a society, where the next child never gets malnourished in the first place. And that leaves us with a pretty big question. What can each of us do to help build that world?